G'day and welcome to Aussievision. It's Kyriakos here, and I'm joined by Dal this morning. Hey, Dal.
Good morning, Kiri.
And we just had the results of Ireland's Eurosong 2023, which took place late at night in Europe, but a nice 7:30 in the morning here in Queensland, which is a nice, respectable time to watch the national final. So,
Oh
yeah.
my, yes. Can I just say the timing is fantastic for Ireland? We've had 2 o'clock in the morning start, so yes, thank you very much, Ireland. It's good.
So, Eurosong 2023 aired again on the Late Late show hosted by Ryan. Lots of positive vibes being pushed through the show. Dale, what did you think of the overall show before we get into things?
I did love the enthusiasm of the whole show. Like it felt, as you said, positive vibes. There was a lot of like good energy in the room. I do like the way that we get to know the artists, which is always good. And I thought the jury was much better this year. I thought Jed were a delight, gave some real honest criticism while still being quite positive as well, because last year they said everything was amazing and it can't be. So if you're going to have a jury, do it that way. So overall, I thought that was good. And yeah, maybe on par kind of ish with last year, I think, in terms of the song kind of quality of everything. Maybe a little bit less, but around the same.
Yeah, I thought Jedward were a great addition, and I just felt like when they tried to give some um, what is it, like constructive criticism, it was kind of like push like no positive vibes, which anyway, that was the push they were going for. There were some jurors that were very positive and very happy and thought everything was brilliant, but that's fine. And we had a surprise winner. Well, for some people, it was a surprise. It was Wild Youth with "We Are One." Dale, what did you think?
Oh yeah, look, I think it was always going to be a head-to-head battle between Wild Youth and Connolly after watching the live performances. I think starting the show, I felt like it was a really open field. I don't think any song or song sort of jumped out. It was like who was going to perform the best. Those two did. And look, Wild Youth, to their absolute credit, I thought put a really good performance on today. They did a really good job of it. The staging kind of worked in the environment that they had because there's not much you can do. And I can totally see why the Irish public in particular went for this song.
Yeah, I agree. I thought, yeah, Wild Youth along with Connolly both had the best overall packages that were presented tonight. I agree with you as well. Like before the show, I'm like, this is anyone. Anyone can take this out. It all depends on the live performances. Yeah, Wild Youth was actually my 12 points in the studio listens. So kind of surprised that, yeah, they happened to make it through. The song has this anthemic feel. One of those songs that's just like, yeah, hold hands, get together, unite, which something different for Ireland to take to Eurovision compared to what they've been sending for the last decade. So uh, then we had Conley, which was a heavy favorite and was the jury's, well, sorry, the judges, I think Jedward
International?
and
Oh,
it was
yeah,
the
no, the
international,
judges are
yeah,
there.
sorry, the judges.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yes, Conley also won the international vote, got the 12 points. What did you think of Conley overall?
I was actually really impressed. I really quite liked this in the studio. I thought it was a bit too repetitive, and I think but in the way that she did her performance, she was very kind of low and then built up to a nice sort of big vocal finish at the end. I thought maybe the start was a little bit too light. I was like, turn up the volume a tad, and she did in that second half. And maybe if it just had a little bit more oomph to the whole lot, it could have done, I think, better. It had an Irishness about it that I really liked as well, and to be honest, both of those songs are probably going to struggle at the actual main contest. And I probably would have preferred to see this go just to give something that feels a little bit more authentic, a little bit more Irish, because Wild Youth was certainly not at my 12 points out of the studio. And I think personally, this would have been a better one to send, but I do understand the result at the same time.
Yeah, I did think Conley was definitely one of the best of the night. Um, and I do agree with you there. It would have been like more of a maybe a risk to send Connolly, which would have been good for Ireland. But yeah, she's so young, so she needs to come back. She needs to keep writing songs. I thought also like the backing vocalists and just the staging, yeah, it just seemed a lot more of a great package overall. Um, any other notable performances that you want to talk about, Dale?
Can we talk about Hawaii? Because
Yeah.
because I was really confused by the results. Because look, I know there was a lot of publicity about the artist formerly known as Johnny Rotten, John Lydon, I think now.
Yep.
Uh, it The story was lovely. The vocal was really poor, like really
Mm.
poor. And I don't think anyone can pretend it was not otherwise. We can say yes, respect to his artistry before. Yes, we can say it's a lovely story. And I can get the public vote. But the jury's putting him above anyone, like literally
Mm.
anyone. Like I felt like I could have done a vocal as good or even better than him today. So I just thought that was a ridiculous result to him to even beat anyone, to be honest. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, given his comments ahead of the competition and his comments about Eurovision, and then singing in a studio setting with his band, it just, yeah, did not sound good.
It was awful.
And I know that one of the judges were like, "Oh, maybe it comes down to emotions." No, I didn't think it. Yeah. Anyway,
No.
but I also thought like the song itself actually has a very nice story behind it, but I didn't
Okay.
get that from the performance. Like, it just didn't come
Mm.
through on its own that way. Because yeah, there was a lot of talk about possibly him taking the televote and a lot of his fans maybe tuning in.
Mm.
It didn't eventuate. But yeah, I agree with you there. The jury probably putting him above some other performances. Yeah, he was not the best of the night. So that
No,
shouldn't have
that's a nice way of putting it.
Yes. We also had yeah, what do we think about Wild by Leela Jones? She ended up
Look, I
coming
love.
last,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
last in every single one, wasn't it? And
Hmm.
I was surprised like that. I she was a bit nervy,
Yep.
and it's the song was okay, and she had a great mullet. That was probably the biggest positive of the whole thing. But she was fine. It wasn't as I don't think she deserved to be last by that much of a distance. I don't think.
Yeah, she had a wicked mullet. So I live in Greater Brisbane, so I do recognize a good mullet when I see one. I'll never wear one myself, but she was rocking that mullet. Yeah, and just the nerves did come through a little bit. But yeah, I don't think it was a bad performance, really. And just want to mention the Aussievision team's favorite was Agi.
Yes.
And forgot where he came through. It came in at the end. But yeah, what did you think of his performance, though?
Oh, look, I mean, this was my 12 points, and I actually thought this had the
Oh,
most potential into Eurovision. I really, really like this studio. Look, I won't lie, it wasn't the greatest live. I do still think he had an overall kind of package of his staging that he could work with there. He was really missing having some backing vocals. He's not the strongest vocalist in the world, and you don't need to be for the song as long as you have something to support you. So he was really exposed, and he also lost his timing a little bit at some point in the middle. But overall, I do think this had more potential if it could have had some proper staging, some proper backing with it. So I was disappointed. I think it was a bit too low, but I also understand why it didn't, based on the performance we saw tonight and the way it was presented.
yeah, he came second to last. That's way too low.
Way too
So,
low.
and yeah, I also thought like even if he got through, yeah, there's so much potential for Eurovision. Just vocally, there wasn't any backing behind him. I totally agree with you there. There's something missing, but yeah, there's so much potential there overall.
Yeah.
So,
Shame.
and well, we might as well just talk about the last one, Down in the Rain. It was my second favorite going to the show. I thought it had a nice vibe, but it was great representation as well, having Afro beats in an Irish national selection show, which everyone acknowledges as well.
Yeah, I think it was great to have that representation. I mean, this is Ireland now. That's part of the Irish culture and multiculturalism there, and to have that music represented in something like this is fantastic. And it wasn't just about representation; they did a great job. They brought some really much needed energy. I thought their vocals for the Style of Music Awards was actually better than I expected it to be, and I enjoyed it a lot. Like, I found it hard to rank them. I think I had them maybe second and last or something like that in the studio. But tonight I thought, the third best. If I
Yeah.
was looking at it in a very impartial way, there was the top two, and then I thought they were quite clearly probably the next best in tonight's performances. So they've got a lot to be proud of, and I'm glad they got on the podium.
Well, Wild Youth will be representing Ireland in Liverpool this year. Congratulations to Wild Youth, and thank you very much for joining us. Let us know if you agree with the results of Eurosong 2023. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye.
So, yeah.